You ready?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all. Agenda item number 1, call the meeting to order, I will call the meeting to order, the recommending committee. We're in compliance with the open meeting law.
Yes, we are.
All right.
Yes, we are.
We are. That's number 2. Item number 3, bill number 2019-15 for possible action amends LVMC 16.16.030 and LVMC Chapter 9.28 to authorize the city to treat certain fireworks-related violations as civil violations subject to a civil penalty rather than proceeding by means of a misdemeanor prosecution, proposed by our Fire Chief McDonald. And who's going to talk about this?
I can talk about that,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Go right ahead.
A couple of years ago, the fire chiefs in the valley decided that the misdemeanor prosecution method of enforcing fireworks-related violations wasn't being as effective as it could be. Whether that was because judges weren't treating those seriously or whether that was because they weren't getting fine amounts, I really don't know. So the fire chiefs got together and decided that one thing that they would like to do regionally would be accomplish 2 things. One, to make a civil proceeding an option, not to replace the misdemeanor, but to make it an option. And second of all, to authorize the collection of costs that a local government incurs in disposing of illegal fireworks, so that would be part of the penalty. We had something drafted up for last year, but it didn't make the agenda. The county went ahead and did something similar to what the regional draft had talked about, and they've gone ahead with theirs. I don't know if others have as well, but we were asked to put this on the agenda so that something could be in place for this July. As I pointed out, it doesn't require the fire department to proceed civilly. It allows them to choose. It's similar to the process that we have for licensing violations, certain animal control violations, short-term rentals. There's a list of about 7 or 8 things where there's an option by which the city can proceed either misdemeanor prosecution or civilly. So this adds that to the list. It also specifically gives the city the right to also, as part of the fine, to impose the costs of the fire department in disposing of the illegal fireworks. The penalties that you see in this bill are the maximum that we can charge under state law. And so that's an option, and in addition, the costs of disposal. I think that's all the presentation I have. We have fireworks violations not only in the International Fire Code that we've adopted, but also in a separate fire-related chapter of our code, so that's why you'll find both places in here. Whichever way the fire department decides to proceed, it can either choose to go criminally or civilly. If you're familiar with the civil process, there's a notice of infraction issued that sets forth the proposed fine, if you will, and then the person has the right to a hearing before a hearing officer to make a presentation that he or she might do in front of a court if it were a misdemeanor prosecution.
Could I ask you a question, Mr.
Sure.
Chairman? How do we go about changing the penalty charge? Isn't it a maximum of $250, or am I incorrect?
I think it's $250 for the first one and $500 for the second. $500 is the maximum that we can do civilly under state law at the present time. The first one could be $500 as well, but it was thought, like many schemes that we have in ordinance, we provide a graduated scale. So the first one would be $250, and the second one and all subsequent ones would be $500.
Okay, thank you.
All right, this is a public hearing. Anyone from the public want to speak on this? Come on up. Yep.
This is my first time.
That microphone right there that says that has a red light on it. Go ahead and state your name.
Hi, my name is
And, your
Micheline
comments.
Kern, and I don't have a city councilman right now.
What's your name again?
Micheline Kern.
Okay.
I don't have a city councilman, so I'm here just here.
We're all your council persons, always.
Oh, yay. Hello, Mayor, how are you?
Hi.
For the past 10 years, I have been working with the police department in our neighborhood. I've gone down there at least once a year, except for 1 year, to go down there and ahead of time ask them to do something in our neighborhood. I live in the Buffalo and Charleston area. It is horrible. I've asked them to go down there. I've given them specific streets, specific addresses, but our concerns just aren't heard. So what will this do in executing your new bill? What will that do? How will I see that with less fireworks in my neighborhood?
Well, the way I understand it, this really has nothing to do with enforcement. It's the penalty phase. So the enforcement part will still be, it'll still be up to Metro, the fire department. By the time 4th of July comes around, you should have a new city council person representing you.
Right.
So,
Mr. Chairman, Chief Nolan just arrived, and he may be able to help answer that question, but my understanding is it gives the fire department more tools in the field to address the issue immediately, and therefore make the penalty such that hopefully it will discourage that kind of behavior, but I'll let Chief Nolan answer that
come on
question.
up.
And isn't it too factual, Mr. Chairman, that I know the county's very much on board with this. There's a lot of PR that's done on social media as well as on television, alerting the public to the fact that it's illegal to operate this fireworks and that there are penalties, but as you know very well, if you don't inspect what you expect, it continues. So my hope is that through the county and our fire, we are maybe notifying with flyers or something, you will be penalized and fined.
Yes, that's correct, Mayor. And
Chief, just so, I don't know if you heard the comments, but this young lady here lives at Buffalo and Charleston. She says that illegal fireworks are a big problem in her neighborhood, and she wants to know how this ordinance is going to help her this coming 4th of July when it comes to dealing with illegal
And
fireworks.
he has to say his name.
And say your name, too.
Robert Nolan, Fire Marshal, Las Vegas Fire and Rescue. This is our third year of implementing the You Light It, We Write It campaign. And the write it part is the admin fines, the citations, and this is the preferred method of enforcing a $250 fine, not a misdemeanor cite, but actually a ticket. It keeps police officers in the street doing more enforcement instead of confiscating and having to do filing, turning in evidence. So we go out as a task force with fire inspectors, with law enforcement as subject matter experts to say, yes, that's legal, they can have that, that's legal, that's a safe and sane, no, that's an illegal, dangerous firework, and we do confiscate because they're illegal, but we don't have the higher degree of evidence collection. We're just removing it from the street, citing people, giving them an admin fine that doesn't go through the court system, it doesn't have to go through the city attorney's office, it goes to an admin hearing officer if they wish to appeal. Other than that, first offense, $250, second offense, $500. It's a ticket. And we tried to implement it last year. Clark County did adopt theirs at the 11th hour, and we were just a little bit late on ours, so this is us fulfilling those obligations that the other stakeholders in the valley wish that we had a more uniform procedure for our law enforcement partners to be used on the 4th. I think we'll do a rollout a couple days before where they'll target the areas. As far as your specific area, we had a heat map of all the calls from last year, the calls for service, the complaints, and this year, with that information, the task force will be mobilizing to hit various hot spots, whereas last year the plan was just to hit geographical regions without being supplemented by statistical data. So this is the third year of doing it, And it'll take a while. It'll take a while for it to get a better hold. We do have public releases. We're going to canvass the areas with mailers to alert them. There will be commercials and PSAs, but it's all part of a continuous strategy that we have, which we feel is the only way to make any impact in the area.
Okay, thank you. Why don't you get this young lady's neighborhood, since she came all the way down here, and make sure you put it on your hotspot map.
Will do. I can tell it already is. I know for a fact it already is.
I know it is.
Okay.
Thank you.
Appreciate you coming down. Thank you very much.
Apologize for being late.
No problem, Chief. Any other public comments? Okay, I'll close the public hearing. Any comments from the committee? Do I have a motion?
I move to adopt the bill number, what was it again? What is your bill number?
2019-15.
Move to adopt.
Okay. All those in favor, vote or say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, the mayor's thing isn't up, but motion carries. All right, very good. Thank you very much. Item number 4, bill number 2019-17 for possible, thank you, Val. This bill 15 will be eligible for adoption at the council meeting of June 19th. Bill number 2019-17 for possible action, ordinance authorizing the issuance of the City of Las Vegas of its general obligation, various purpose refunding bonds, Series 2019 C, an amount not to exceed $26 million, and providing other matters related thereto, proposed by Vanetta Appleyard, Director of Finance. Hi, Gary.
Good morning. For the record, I'm Gary Ameling, the Chief Financial Officer for the city. These bonds actually are a fixed rate bond issuance, which will help us refund a variable rate bond issuance that has interest rate risk. As interest rates have been climbing, that risk has gotten more intense, I guess, and the chances of us having those interest rates rise the cost of paying the debt service on those bonds has pushed us to the point of looking at fixing that variable rate into a fixed rate issuance. And so we're recommending that you move forward a recommendation to the full city council for the meeting on Wednesday to authorize us to issue fixed rate bonds, which will eliminate that interest rate risk. The market is good right now. Interest rates are low, and so we're looking at a true interest cost of about 3.17 is our best estimate. The bond sale will take place later in June, and the opportunity is now to refund those bonds by July 1st. So we're recommending that you approve this ordinance.
Very good, thank you. Public hearing, anyone from the public want to speak on this? I'll close the public hearing. Any comments from the committee?
Not for me, thank you.
I have a motion, please.
I move to approve bill number 1, send it on to city council for final action, bill number 2019-17.
Thank you. All those in favor, vote or say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries unanimously. This bill will be heard at the June 5th, 2019 City Council meeting. Item number 5, citizen participation. Anyone from the public want to make any comments about anything? All right, that ends citizen participation. The recommending committee meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Councilman Fiore, thanks for calling in. Didn't even bother to get a thank you out of her. She's out of there.